We're live. We finally made it. Oh my
Yay.
goodness. This interview is so exciting for me because the person before you, we've already talked that we're probably going to need a 2.0 version because of all that she's working in and on right now. Yet I met Jen Gorski through our Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce. And more so the chamber, it led me to Thursday morning, 7 a.m. meeting where it's an elite group of business owners in specific categories, and they commit to 90 minutes at 7 a.m. every Thursday. And Jen sat at the
Oh,
table
whoops. Can you
with,
still hear me? Sorry, it just like did something weird on
yep,
my end. Can you?
yep,
Okay, perfect.
you're good.
Okay. Okay.
So I met her at this early Thursday morning meeting. And what was so significant was the family business she was representing with such a flair that was very unique because I know what goes into independent businesses and they don't get created just like, whoo, I had an idea and we went with it. There's so many details. And when I did the leadership game, with all the ambassadors, which part of the chamber has ambassadors that welcomes business owners into the chamber as a guide. And when I sat at that table doing this leadership game with the elite ambassadors, Jen shared how large her team is. And most businesses don't keep their success because they aren't willing to grow their team because it's freaking hard. It was hard
Mhm.
yesterday, it's hard today, it was hard 10 years ago, and I'm sure it's going to be different going forward as well because it's finding the right people to put on the bus,
Yep.
the right people to show up. And so hearing how large her team is shows a leadership and willingness to grow that is very significant. And if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the largest teams at the table. And so, with her energy and the extra she's going to share that she's working on something else because high achieving people are more willing to take on opportunities and learn and grow. And I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful. So, Jen, I would love for you to share how and where you came to the place you are now, go back as far as you like, so that anyone who finds this, that finds out more about your way landscaping business, the future business that you're creating, that they know that, it just didn't land in your lap.
Right.
And you didn't just
Right.
say, okay, let's do this. There was a lot more into it. So
For sure.
to learn more about you.
For sure. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so grateful that I met you when I did and you came into my life. You are just a rock star, and I appreciate everything you do for all of us. So, about me, um, where to begin? So, I would consider an unconventional landscape story. Um, I went to school for biology. I have a bachelor's degree in biology. I worked for Pfizer in Ann Arbor at their R&D facility for 8 years as an operational manager, and then it got shut down. Um, and during that time, my husband and I at that point were married for 2 years. But let me roll that back even further. So my husband and I got married in 2000. I came home from work one night and he has a degree in marketing, a business degree in marketing. I came home one night and he said, "Honey, I quit my job today." Newlyweds of 2 months, 2 months. Like he's lucky I didn't like get the shovel and throw him in the backyard, right? I was like, "Okay, well, what's your plan?" And he said, "I'm going to mow grass." And I was like, "Okay, not where I thought my life was going, but let's give it a whirl. I have a great job at Pfizer, or. So I thought at that point, let's do it. We can survive on my salary. Let's go for it. So we did. Fast forward 2 years, Pfizer shuts down the R&D facility here in Ann Arbor. I lose my job.
Mm.
I come home and I say, "Hey, guess what? I have lost my job." I was given a very wonderful severance package. I ended up with a 2-year severance package because Park Davis, which was the original entity there, took care of their people. So I ended up with a nice severance package. So we were lucky that we still had 2 years of my salary coming in. And I said, "I'm going to work for you now because I don't know what to do with my life, so let's go for it. So that was in 2002. So now, as I say, very unconventional landscaper, right? I don't fit the mold. Um, we're both college educated, and we didn't know what we didn't know at that point. He was growing things. I was running the office. I came from a very structured organizational background with operations. So I was detailed in all the operational things. How do we make the SOPs? How do we make this work? How do we make sure we're paid on time? All the things. And that served us very well. As we moved along, it's a learning thing. So it started off at our house. It only lasted running out of our garage for a matter of a couple months. Moved to a building and some property that we rented. Then we outgrew that. So now we have for the past 20 years, we have owned a building and property in Milford um, that we successfully have managed to run everything out of. But with that comes all of the hurdles that you were implying. We've had to learn to find staff. We've had to learn to find um, managers. We've had to learn to teach and train because when you're in the trenches just doing, it's easier to just move over, let me just do it for you. So you have to learn to stop and teach and train. You have all of the things that it's been a journey. We've been in business for 27 years. So it's been an absolute journey. We've had a lot of stumbling along the way. Um, one of the most major hurdles that really impacted our business was I'm probably going to get this wrong and feel like it was 2015, thereabouts. The neighbor next to us, where our property is in Milford, was illegally burning on his property on a very windy day in November. The fire jumped the property line and caught the back 4 acres of our property on fire. Our property burned for 5 days. We ended up on the Channel 4 News. We ended up on Fox 2 News. I think they had 18 cities help put the fire out locally. It ended up with it was horrible. It was crushing. It was, are we going to make it? Is the business going to survive? How do we rebuild from this? Thankfully, our building and our equipment didn't burn. It was the back 4 acres where we had all of our bulk materials. At that point, we made mulch, and we were a mulch broker. So we had giant hundreds and hundreds of yards of mulch. It was horrible. So that was like one huge hit. Like, how do you come back from that, right? Like, it just cost us tens of thousands of dollars in courts, and we had to fight the neighbor, and it was one of those, like, why are we doing this moments? Like, we had little kids at that point. Do we just pack it in and go back to corporate world and who needs this? You know, because it was very, very stressful. Like I said, the fire burned for 5 days. It was crazy. Then fast forward that, and we had COVID, which lovely COVID, right? That
That's where I
took,
thought you were going. That's where I thought you were going, but you went back further.
yeah,
See, and I think I want to pause for just a second on that
yeah,
one because so many times that is a place of
mhm,
like adjustment because the whole world. I mean, I'm trying to remember where we were that somebody said, "Oh, I did an interview with Allie Long," and she said
mhm,
there was that moment where she questioned everything she knew medically that she was like, like,
yep,
a gasp. And yet a gasp for you guys was the beginning
yep,
of the unknown because you didn't have a family business that had a
right,
blueprint. You didn't have like cousin, sister's neighbor that was like, hey, let's do this.
right,
You had marketing, which is very different to be sitting in a classroom and applying something from a book
hmm
day.
right,
Not
yes,
necessarily
yes,
online, no chat, no
yes,
Google.
Right.
I had
Exactly.
to look back
It
to
was a book in a library.
where you probably took it out with a
Yeah, you had a little card and you had to
yeah, a
talk to
little membership card. Anyone who
Exactly.
watches this that's younger is going to be like,
Right. They're like,
"What?
what
You
is
did
happening?
what? What?"
Exactly.
So he was applying, which is beautiful because I love you that you say the educational background because certain businesses need certain things.
Hmm.
They are required. And
Yep.
there are certain businesses today, and we see it all the time with kids that are like, "Hey, I'm going to start this and go wing it."
Yep.
And they do, and it's beautiful. And yet you had all this education that can sometimes trip us up because you have all this knowledge over here, and the blending of something unknown can be questioned. And the fact that you had a successful career in corporate that paid you 2 years severance, like what a blessing. Doesn't
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
normally hear that.
We were,
What's
no,
yeah. So
exactly.
that like that walking of like, well, we can go back over here. And it's like, well, what if we stay the course?
Right.
And what options do you have? Yet you would never imagine a fire, especially like that. And then having to deal with your neighbor. I can't. We have never gone into that, and I'm not going to. But man,
It
I think
was,
you could probably write a book on it,
it
especially if
was
you're on the news and,
It
you
was
know.
so bad. It was, yeah, I won't go into it, but it was horrible. Matt, at that time, Matt's dad worked for us. He managed our mulch company because at that point, we had three companies. We had an over-the-road trucking company, we had a mulch broker company, and then we had Your Way. So at that point, we owned three different companies,
Mhm.
and Matt's dad ran two of them for us. And Matt and his dad, the Milford Fire Department literally told them, you need to sleep here in your cars. And if this fire jumps any closer to your building, you need to, excuse me, you need to call us. And I was like, you need to do what? Like, are you going to be alive in the morning? Like, I was calling him every hour on the hour. Like, are you alive? Are you okay? And he's like, yep, the smoke's getting worse, but we're okay. And I'm like, get, like, it's so not worth it. Like, let it all burn to the ground. You're not replaceable. We've got insurance.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it was the craziest thing.
In
And
5 days, I wrote
5 days,
down it
it
was
burned for
four
5 days.
acres in five. Like literally, the
It
hair on my
burned.
arms is standing up because it's bad enough to have a tragedy, but most tragedies have last a certain amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you had an accident, terrible, and it was gone, and you barely remember it. But for 5 days to
Yeah,
watch
it
the
was so
edge of
bad.
your property.
Where our property is, we're like on the Milford Wixom border. There's a middle school that's over there off of Charms, and I feel like I don't think it's Clifford Smart. It's one of those. But they literally had to shut down the middle school because the smoke was so bad that it was the way it was blowing. So they shut down the middle school. Like Maggie, it was like out of like Transformers. The DNR brought in these little fire hopper machines to go into the fire to throw the fire. They were like throwing the fire up in the air to like whoops,
Distinguish it.
to like help get whatever they were doing. Army had brought in a big food truck to help feed and keep all the fire departments like fed and it was yeah, it was the most crazy thing I've ever seen. It was
And
absolutely
you
crazy.
guys, at that point, you were in business for 15 years. So
Uh yeah,
you
yeah,
you had substance because
yeah,
some businesses don't make it a minute or
right,
truly they don't make it 3 years. And
right.
so you were well past that. So you had a
Mhm.
solid foundation, yet your foundation of your equipment, product, and such, let alone the building. Oh my.
It
And
was
two little
wild.
girls
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
girls are little.
my girls were little. They were 6 and 9, I think, somewhere around there. So they were still little people. Like not enough to know what was going on, but enough to know like there's something bad happening here.
Well, and not old enough to be left alone. So you had to
Right.
juggle their schedule, oh my
Yeah, it was wild. It still like makes me every time I smell like fire over by the shop, I'm like, all right, what's burning? What's burning? Like it's still like it's wild.
PTSD. Yeah.
It's totally wild. It's
Okay,
totally
so
wild.
leading into, please continue leading into COVID because I believe
Okay.
COVID is one of
Yes.
those that a lot of us as humans experience, but as a
Hmm.
business owner, it takes it to a whole nother level. So your first
Yes.
big challenge was the start. The second was the fire, and the third was
Yes.
COVID.
Third was COVID. Yes. So COVID, that's again another thing that will probably forever be buried in my soul. I never forget sitting, Matt and I were sitting at the kitchen table. And it was just like, what do we do? And it was the day that it came down that everybody had to shut down. So we had to tell all of our staff, like, I'm sorry, we can't we can't pay you. We can't work, and we had to look 20 some. At that point we were bigger than we are now. So I feel like at that point we had like 30 plus employees, and we had to look them all in the face and say, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We can't pay you. We can't offer you work. Go home, be safe. We don't know when this is going to end. We don't know if we're going to make it. We don't know if there's going to be a company when it at the other end. And I just remember, like, then everybody's scrambling, right? Like the government scrambling with the PPP money and all that kind of stuff. And we're scrambling every day talking to the banks and trying to, when they were giving everybody like the amnesty on their payments. So then I'm like scrambling to get all of our payments stopped, because I mean, we have a fleet of vehicles, and at that point I think we had 10 or 12 trucks. We had 3 skid steers, we have trailers, we have the mortgage on the building. So we have notes all over the place, right? And I'm like, holy smokes, like 1 month and we're done. Like,
Mhm.
there's not enough in savings to carry us with no revenue coming in. And it was absolutely probably the most terrifying 6 weeks, because we could not work for 6 weeks,
Mhm.
which I thought was like the silliest thing personally, because we didn't talk to people. We
Mhm.
were outside, we were mowing grass. So, like, you could still do what we needed to do and not have an interaction with people. But the world was so scared, right? Nobody knew. Nobody knew what was
It was the
happening.
unknown.
So, in hindsight, it's kind of like, and but it was terrifying. And I remember when we didn't even bring back everybody after COVID, because we couldn't. Because we even lost during COVID, we had a very large contract with a very big hospital here. They'll remain anonymous, but they canceled our contract during COVID. And that was a few $100,000 worth of revenue. So we couldn't even bring back our whole staff. Like,
Right.
I was like, this is insanity. And when we did slowly start bringing people back, they were like, the look on your face, I've never seen you look so scared in your life. And that's one thing I try to pride myself in, is I try not, I mean, my staff knows when I'm mad. That's probably the only emotion that I can't hide. Or when I'm like, you're feeding me a line of malarkey. But like, I try to keep those things inside, right? Like, I don't want them to see the fear, right? And the one guy said, I've never seen that in you before, but I saw the fear in your eyes. And I was like, yeah, because I didn't know. Like, we could have lost everything, our business, our house, our property, you know, because when you're a business owner, everything relies on that. So if our business goes down, we don't have a fail safe,
Mhm.
right? If that sinks, we lose everything. We lose our home, we lose our personal cars, the whole thing rides on that business being successful. And that was another, like, holy cannoli moment. Like, crazy, crazy, crazy.
Wow. So, oh my gosh. I this is the part that's wild because I feel like I know you and I don't know you. You know what I mean? Like I know you on Thursday morning, your 30-second commercial, your asks, your feedback, and yet not thinking about how this would affect you guys because like you said, my first thought was you're outside, everything's good. Yet that paralyzing fear that we all
Hmm.
hit during COVID was either a day, a week, a month, you know what I mean? Like depending on our world and what we had
Right.
access to, and then the behind the scenes of, okay, you do this and this might happen because no one knew. I wouldn't even have thought of that because it's outside. And again,
Hmm.
like you said, you're not like hand to hand to the client. You're like, I'm going to
Right,
take care of your front yard. Stay inside. You'll be fine. Yet,
right.
oh my. And
And
mm,
there was companies that were running. Now I will say I'm going to tread very carefully on this. I consider what I, and this sounds bad, but I have what I consider legitimate companies, and then I consider the one man shows.
mm,
So, this is the point of entry in our industry is very low. All you need is pickup truck, a trailer, and a lawnmower, and you're in business. Like, go for it. And
mhm,
that's great. That's great. We started there. Everybody's got to start somewhere. I have no issues with that. But what we saw was the one man shows were out still working. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we are following the rules
right.
and like treading on, are we going to lose everything? Am I going to like have to call my parents and be like, I need a loan?
Mhm,
Or, we're moving in with you.
right.
Like, where is this going? To watching these one man show guys out doing stuff. And one day, I'll never forget it because during that time, too, which not a lot of people know, I also worked at Target. I've worked at Target since 2018. So I had a side hustle. Thankfully, Target, I was able to, when this all went down, I went there and I was like, I need 40 hours worth of work. And granted, I made $15 an hour. I wasn't saving the world, but I was at least
It was
being
cash
able to
flow.
buy groceries,
Yep.
right? And not rely on the unemployment of whatever they were giving people for unemployment at that time. Um,
Can I
so
just stop you right there?
yes, yes.
I think what's so significant right there that's so special is that being a very, very successful business, 20 years in business, or I should say 18, that you decided and you were willing to say, I'm going to go do this because this gives us another avenue. It gives you another insight. It gives you possibilities, choices, and it wasn't the leverage of like, I'm making $150 an hour. It was very low, yet
Hmm.
discount access, like the benefits, yet the humbleness to say, even if you did it for one shift, even if you did it, whatever, that willingness is incredible. And that says a lot about your character because so many people are not willing to pivot. They're not willing to say, what else is possible? And I do want this route, yet what can we look at? And I think that's
Hmm.
super significant because, holding true to the values of, I'm going to build this. Yes, you are going to build this. And as an entrepreneur, you might also need to like steady your steps in another
Hmm.
opportunity. And so that's incredible. I did not know that, yet I
Yeah. Well,
didn't know a lot
yeah.
of
Thank
things.
you. Thank you. No, I worked for Target from 2018, and I actually just resigned my position there about 6 months ago. I worked there for like 6.5 years, and I was just like, it just started to take. I enjoyed it. I called it my mommy break, like my mind break. In the ironic, I know I'm taking like a little divergence here, but the ironic kind of comical thing about it was the people that were there knew what I did for a living. Even the store director knew what I did for a living. And the nights that I was there, 9 times out of 10, I was the oldest person in the building on the shift. And 9 times out of 10, whoever the leader was on that night was coming to me asking me for advice on how to do things,
Right.
which was,
Yeah.
I was like flattered, but I was like, here's my advice, but I can't, like, you're not
I'm not here
really,
to do that.
I'm not here to do that. I'm here to just click the buttons and put things on shelves. Like, I'm here not to think. I think
Right.
enough in my normal day. And so that was very like flattering, and there's still folks from Target that I talk to this day who are like, what should I do with this? Can you look at my resume? Can you help me? Where should I go? And I'm like, that is so sweet. Like but they all knew what I did in my real life. And even some of them were like, why are you here? I'm like, because this is a mental break for me. Like, I'm just here for my own thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm talking to guests. I'm putting things on shelves. But during COVID, it was like, I was like, all right, like, game on, like, give me all the hours you can. I've got a family to feed. Like, I've got to at least put food on the table for these little kids and, keep them moving and stuff like that. And I mean, it was fun. It was fun, but you're right. I mean, it was not a lot of people. I don't tell a lot of people about it because it's like, I think people can look at it in two different ways. Like, oh, well, don't you make enough money with what you do? Why are you working at Target? Which was what a lot of my family was like, why are you doing that? You're better than that. And it was like, I'm really not better than the next person. And I enjoyed it. So what does it matter at
Well,
the end of the day?
all that really matters, and I'm really glad. Okay, so I got to make a couple of notes here,
Okay.
keeping track of this. Your personal benefits outweighed the contrast,
Mhm.
or you wouldn't have done it.
Right.
That's one. Two, I knew you were service oriented. Like, you have to be a certain level of service to be an entrepreneur, and another level of service to stay an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And then another level that I haven't quite seen. I've only seen in a couple of my clients and then witnessed very, very few, that level of obligation and knowing what you needed. And you needed to be moving, you needed to be of service, and you had a boundary of how, I mean, you could have freaking ran. I mean, graduating with what you did in the operations that you did, you could, of course, they were going to come to you. Yet you didn't apply for those positions because you needed to do something where you could be systematic about what you were doing and be able to know you did your job, check, left it
Mhm.
there, and it didn't follow you home.
Yes.
So that beauty is really important. And I want to point that out not only for you, yet also for anyone who is watching this that says, I really want to do this. I want to be a greeter at Lowe's. I want to be a greeter at Home Depot. I want to go volunteer. I want to go do
Mhm.
something, and it may not completely make sense to anyone. So who
Right.
freaking cares?
Right. If it
It's
makes
not,
sense to you and it feeds your soul, like there's so many other things that I mean, I could talk for hours and it's just things that I keep to myself because they're things that I have just done because whether it was a calling from a greater power or my gut churning saying this is something that you needed to do, whatever the case may be, they're just things that I do, and those are intrinsically things that I have taught my girls. Like this is just how you have to behave as a human being. Yes, you need to have an education. Yes, you need to have a job, but yes, there's a greater purpose to everything that you need to do. And you need to be kind when you're doing it. And you can't be braggadocious. You have to be humble. And you just have to, you know, you can go cry in the corner because the person hurt your feelings, but put the face on. Be grateful for what you have
it's
and
absolutely,
you know,
it's a shift. It's what I
yeah,
stand for 100%. It's that shift that you're willing to make and that example to your girls that you're not gonna, you actually did it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You
yes.
showed up in the best way. And um, I know that you and your husband celebrated a good amount of years together. So, and marriage, which is
Hmm.
very extremely hard to live and
And work.
all the things together. I mean, it's one
Yes.
thing to work together, it's one thing to be married, and then, oh, hey, we're gonna go home and
Yep.
have a family and lead a family. The
Yes.
responsibilities are mighty. So
Yes.
I want to point that out too, because what my guess, and maybe you want to share about that, that to stay married, to become the best mom, you also knew what you needed. So you gave yourself permission to say, this space and place is going to bring us this list of benefits. And it's
Hmm.
also going to feed you because you could still be working, still be serving in a perimeter that was safe.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I can unravel that a little bit. So Matt and I have actually been together since 1992. So we've been together for 34 years. I know,
Okay, so you were two when you met. Okay.
pretty much. I mean, I
Okay.
love you for that. I wish I was I wish I was that young, but and we've been married for 26 years now. I will say when we first started working together, because his personality and my personality are completely 180 degrees different. My
Mhm.
husband is the sweetest guy you will ever meet, and he's a people pleaser all day long. And, he's just got one of those genuine hearts. Whereas I'm like, I mean, not that I'm not that person, but I'm kind of like a little more gritty. Like I really don't have much of a filter. I call it how I see it. And it's not to hurt people's feelings. And it's not, it's just, I don't have time to be like, well, let's talk about this. No, just please don't do that anymore. Like, here's why, and let's not do it anymore. So I would say the first 2 years that I worked for him were a little like crazy because he said to me, if you want to work for me, you're not just going to come in here and think this is all roses and sunshine. You're actually for 2 years going to go out and you're going to do all of the work. You're going to run a lawn crew. You're going to drive a truck and a trailer. You're going to learn to fertilize. You're going to learn to shrub trim. You're going to plow snow. You're going to do all the things. And I did for 2 years. I ran my own crew. It was me and another girl. He hired another lady to work with me. And for 2 years, I had my own crew. I drove the truck and the trailer. I did all the things and I used all the equipment. So, which in the moment I was kind of like, whatever. Now, hindsight, I know that I can confidently tell any of our guys, like, this is how you need to do the work. And if they give me the look like, well, you're a woman, then I start to do the work and show them because and I've tell everybody that works for us, I will never ask you to do anything that I have not done or cannot do myself. And we've got a lot of guys that have worked for us for many, many years, and they will turn to the new people and say, she's not bullshitting you. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you can bleep that.
It's all
But
good.
she's not selling you a story. Like if she's asking you to get in that big piece of equipment and go move that, she's going to go do it herself if you don't go do it.
Mhm.
So in the moment, it was a lot of back and forth with him and I. Like just let me do the operations, let me make your processes, let me do this, let me do that. And he's like, no. And so now we have an unwritten rule. It took years to get there, but now it's an unwritten rule. Our marriage stops at the door. He is my boss.
Mhm.
He technically owns the company 100%. I really have no ownership in the company. He's the boss. I am the director. He's the boss. And everybody that works for us knows that. So we've had some folks that are like, well, you need to tell your husband. And I'd be like, can you show me where he's at? Because that's my boss. And we I don't want to say we don't talk about work at home. We're very conscious effort not to talk about work at home. We try to stay focused with the girls and they're much older now. So, trying just to be and sucking in all those last moments because the one's a junior in college, the other one's a senior in high school. So now it's about sucking in all those last moments because soon enough they're both going to be gone. And then it's going to be him and I like, hey,
Hey.
how's it going? So, and it is for a lot of people, it's hard. I've heard horror stories where they end up divorced or the business just completely falls apart. And then, the wife is going after the husband for a portion of the business. And, it can be very combative and very ugly. And we've learned over the years what his strengths are, what my strengths are. We stay in our lanes and we go. It's, it's just, it's what it is, I guess.
It, okay, so I'm going to take it deeper because that's what I
Okay. Okay, go.
and I know that part of my ask with you was I stumbled upon a book, Traction, by
Oh, yes.
Gino. What's Gino's
Yes.
last name?
Wickman.
Wickman, who happens
Yep.
to be in our town. And
Yes.
the reason I want to share this is that if you haven't noticed already how humble Jen is, she's so incredibly humble.
Oh,
And
thank you.
her willingness to, do what she needs to do when she needs to do it, I can't even imagine which was harder. Your husband to stand firm and say, you're going to do this, or the fact that you were like, I'm going to do this, pick a finger and watch me, I'm sure, for that like rage of like, it is very different being a woman, especially we have a few things in common based on where our birthday is, and we're very stubborn. I love challenges, and yet we don't want that challenge. You know what I mean? Like there's
Hmm.
certain things like that. You're like, no, I don't necessarily want to get in a truck and show you how great I am because that's not on my my wish list.
Right. But on the other hand, hold my beer and I'm going to do it.
Right. Watch me. Like
Yes.
hashtag watch me. I'm like all day. You know what I mean? Like game on. And especially for your girls, there's a
Yes.
different level that you want to be able to say, I'm not going to say I'm going to enjoy this, love it. It's going to be forever. Yet it's that I can do that. I can do that. And you did it. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
figured it out. So then your leadership is so much greater. And what I want to go back to was knowing that I reached out to you when I came across Gino, who wrote the book Traction. I started to read it and was like, okay, this is amazing, but it is so far off my business because I am not the multi hired employees yet. And it doesn't totally make sense. And yet, what I want to point out is that there was a place that you and your husband sat down as husband and wife and business owners, maybe different place, maybe at the office, and said, okay, your way landscape, our extra parts of our business needs to be edited
Hmm.
and we need to step up to ask for help. And you
Yes.
did enroll in a program, you got coaching, you had hands-on. And I want to say that because there is a ladder of replacement ladder that I teach, and most people are not willing to take a step off the ground to be in a place that they ask a different question. And a lot
Hmm.
of times it's a mentor, it's a coach, it's a structure, it's a system. It could be your CRM, it could be your emailing system. God forbid nowadays, a whole nother level is AI. You know what I mean? Like that willingness to see something greater. And what I see that you and your husband both have is a greater vision for something
Hmm.
better and not being okay with the status quo.
Yes.
And I think that some of those independent business owners that don't have the education, and we have this conversation a lot in our house where Declan's like, well, what about college? I just don't understand. I'm like, well, let me just tell you, it's a level of commitment, and people see that
Hmm.
you've committed to something and you stayed the path. The cost is interesting nowadays, and a lot of things come
Yes.
along with that, which I'm not going to get into yet. It's a level of pursuit of excellence and commitment, whether it was a 2 year or a 4 year or master's or whatever. So knowing that background, you also know there's greater possibilities because you are subjected to a greater environment. If I know anything
Hmm.
right now is that environment changes us because we leave the comfort zone of our home, whether we drive to a community college, go to classes, and such. So I just want to say, like, that's a big part of what was really significant to me for you to explain. I mean, she even took her time to sit with me, and it's not even a easy blend, because what you were doing, and how you shared it with me was so beautiful. And I have my cheesy I made my own
Oh,
little tracking sheet because
I love it.
it didn't fit. It
Yeah.
didn't fit my business model. And yet
Right.
you pursued that excellence and you were able to secure a certain amount of business and growth. And so now that you have a firm foundation with your company, you've recovered from 2015, you've recovered from 2020. And not to say everything's peaches and roses and all everything's awesome, because the hiring process is interesting and making sure you have
Yeah.
the right people on the bus. So that
Yep.
could be so, talk to us about that next level of you personally and what you've chosen to pursue.
So for me, okay. So my part of my role with the company, Matt shifted this on me. I think it was 2 years ago and said, you need to be in charge of social media and marketing. And I was like, Excuse me, what? I do operations. I am very like, that is the way my mind is wired. I'm not a creative minded person. Although I say that and people are like, no, you're very creative. And I'm like, oh, think so. But, um, and so him and I, there was like a collision at that point. And he was like, nope, this is what you have to do. You need to step away. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, I took the leap, fell in love with it. Um, And I'm moving towards getting myself a certificate from the University of Tennessee, a graduate certificate in social media marketing, which I'm so excited. I mean, besides the fact that I love Tennessee, go Bulls, you know, I'm super jazzed by that. And he just like kind of chuckles every time. And, every time I'm doing something and he's like, yeah, says the one that didn't want to do it. And I'm like, hey, you want to be in my video? Hey, who wants to be in my video? Hey, who want? And they're, of course, my girls cringe and whatever, mom's cringy and, there's the eye roll and whatever. But so that's where I'm headed. And also, we have another thing that we're doing, which I haven't had a chance to share with you yet because this all came down while we were on vacation in Hilton Head. But we are looking to open a location in Hilton Head. We've already started the process. So yes, yes. So I'm so jazzed about that. It's going to be a little bit different spin than what we have up here. Mostly the primary focus will be holiday lights and like turf care and stuff because the market down there is pretty saturated with the lawn mowing type things, but it'll be like a little bit of a spin on what we do here, but I'm so excited and I've already started my social media campaigns down in that area.
Oh,
So
good.
to hire, because now we're, we got to try to figure out how you hire somebody and
Mhm.
how this all works. But yeah,
I
yeah.
love
So
it. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And I think what that speaks to is, again, your willingness to leave your comfort zone.
mhm,
And it's a place that you love. And so you looked around and said, what's possible?
yep.
And what I think is such a treasure between you and your husband is that honesty of conversation that he saw in you and said, hey, this is what we need. And you were like, okay, this is not driving a truck. This isn't running a team on landscaping. Yet again, it's something new and different. And how
hmm
you said, let's go, you know,
Yep.
like, and what he knew so well about you is that you were better than you realized. Because I know that you did a workshop for us and like just the little pieces of this is, I don't even know if you knew, but what the way you taught was like, oh, music to my ears. Okay, so we're gonna do this and this is why. We're gonna do this and this is why. And then what this means, and I'm like, man, I could listen to you all
Oh,
day because
thank you.
there was a blueprint. It wasn't like you're going to do this. It was, you're going to do this and this is why. So it anchored in the reasons and it gave me, because as a business owner, if you tell me one more thing I have to do, that's when we're like, I'm gonna,
Right.
oh, stop. My have to do list is so freaking huge. And then when you said it, and I was like, I get to do that. And it's a choice that I'm going to make because I know this and this and this is going to be better. And it's a prayer. I literally prayed, like, let's make this simpler. And then Jen showed up and gave us some tips. And I was like, I didn't know that. And I needed to know that.
Yeah. Well,
So,
thank you. And I will say with all transparency, I was not sure. I think I am the worst teacher in the world because I just kind of like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it, and let's go and let's do this and click that and da 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 da. And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna explain this. And then when I first got there, actually the TV wasn't syncing to the computer, and I was like, oh good golly, Miss Molly, how do I show so, well, I appreciate that. And with your guidance, I mean, the goal is to try to figure out more of these opportunities for folks because that is another part of my plan, which I love. Because my whole plan is actually like ultimately when Kenzie's out, she graduates next year in 27, to work remotely as much as I can from my motorhome, wherever I'm at. And the opportunities that we're opening the door with on various levels allow me to do that and allow Matt to be a little more not anchored here and to
versatile.
do the
Mhm.
things too. So, yeah.
I love it. And we get to talk about that after we do this interview of that digital imprint is so important for all of us to realize how much more we have access to. The
Mhm.
times that we say something and we do it, and then we do it again, and we do it again, and we do it again, is such a gift because you have, I mean, you guys have cleared a path clearly in landscaping in lots of different ways in your business, and then stepping into social and being willing. And I wanted to go back to that too. It's a willingness to say, oh, freaking well, what someone else thinks.
Hmm. Which is hard because there are so when I first started the social media journey, and we had former employees that were going on my posts and my YouTube things and just saying nasty things about me or about the company. And it was sending me down a very bad, like, mental health travel, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't. And now I'm like, and Matt's like, you know what? The haters are going to hate. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, the haters are going to hate. And now I'm just like, bring it. Bring it. Like, you can say whatever you want because I know what I'm saying is true. I know what I'm saying is accurate. If you had a bad experience with us, I'm sorry for that. And you are rightful to your opinion. I mean, just like I can go to McDonald's and have a bad experience with a Big Mac and I can post about it. But it's my experience. That doesn't mean that all of our other thousands of customers have had bad experiences.
Hmm.
It's just the power of the social media, though, and that you have to watch, right? Because anybody can say anything they want, whether it's true or false, which is a little more
Well,
frustrating.
I think there's keyboard courage for sure.
Hmm.
And then I think what's really interesting, I had somebody say something, and then somebody sent me a private text and said, did you see that that person, this is their MO? They go around and they just bash people. They have nothing good to say about anything. And it's like, okay. So I'm going to say this, and I feel like in every interview I might say this, and it's a little comical, and I wish I could give royalties to my client and friend, Tamara. But she says there's feedback you can use,
Hmm.
and there's feedback you can lose.
Yep.
And so that loss to someone that you wouldn't trade places with, or you were like, "Hey, listen, we tried to make it right," and you just wanted to be upset. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
there's
Yeah.
people who you can do anything for, and they're still going to be upset. And
Yes.
so that is the cost of business, and the cost
Yep.
of business is to rewire that situation to be like, "Thank you, come again," or not.
Right. Yep. Bye.
See ya.
Yes.
See ya.
Yes.
Sorry. You're
Exactly.
you're not one of my people. So,
Exactly.
yes.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited. No, I did not know about your opening of a new location, and it
Yes.
makes complete sense because I know that is your second home and you love it. And there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to bring something great, beautiful, and wonderful to a place that you love. And
Thank you.
that extension of your business that can bless someone else is so exciting, and being super clear about with whom you're looking for that can be an extension of you and someone who has been literally praying for an opportunity and you already
Hmm.
have the path because you guys, started in 2000 and you're here and you're still here and you're going forward and you've endured some of these challenges that most people would have broken from and you
Hmm.
didn't. So that's
Yep.
incredible. And again, married, you're still married. You know what I mean?
Still married.
You know what I mean? Like
Right. We
people don't
still like
realize.
each other at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
100%. And while maintaining the schedule of the girls and all
Mhm.
those things, I think it's really exciting. And also, it lends to the value of giving them more choices. And it's not just the financial choices, it's the choices of, hey, come with me, add to it in any capacity, go multiply yourself in another way. So
Mhm.
that's really exciting. So, are there any tips that you have? I feel like we've covered so much, but there's things that I think that somebody might look at and say, okay, so how do you maintain your focus, and clarity on your vision when you're faced with these challenges or that lovely self-doubt?
So that's a great question. I would say the version of me now handles that stuff much better than the version of me a few years ago or 10 years ago. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a few years ago, it would have been a lot of praying, a lot of, talking to friends, trying to figure it out. Now, it seems to be easy. So it's easier for me than it is for Matt. I I am able to find like it's easier for me to I just let things go. And this is something I just kind of sounds silly, but when I turned 50, I was like, I don't need place for bad juju in my life. I don't need bad vibes in my life. If I can't figure it out, it's probably not something I need to be focused on. I and letting go of things faster has helped me to be able to focus faster. I don't know if that really answers the question, but
100%, but I want to point out, and I have a question because I can.
okay.
How is that a bad thing?
I guess it's not.
It's not. I mean, like you're
It's
saying
not.
it, and I'm like waiting. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, what's bad about that?
No. I mean, years ago, and I will say this, and I'm sure, well, I'm just going to put this on there and then we can talk about this at another time. But we have as part of Your Way, we have our mental health initiative called the Mary Project, which is our Holiday Lights initiative. And that all started because of the mental health issues that I have seen through my husband. He suffers from mental health issues, which he's probably going to kill me for throwing this out in the world, but it is what it is. And not talking about it is why the stigmas are there. And I grew up in a house where my dad was, back in the day, was considered manic depressant. Now you'd call him bipolar.
Mhm.
So I've learned all kinds of coping through from when I was a little person all the way through an adult and dealing with things and then watching my husband with his struggles and helping him through his struggles. And then I was just like, you know what? Life is too short.
Mhm.
I need to find the good. I need to find the purpose. And these are the things we just need to focus on. Like, I don't need to worry about the fact that there's dirty dishes in the sink right now. I
Mhm.
need to be present with what I'm doing for talking with Maggie, or I need to be present with sitting with my 17-year-old with her college essays. Like, that's what's important. And
Mhm.
that's just the way I shifted my whole mind. Like, what's important in the moment is what's important in the moment. And all the other noise kind of gets compartmentalized. And if I need to come back to it, I will, or it's just gone. Like it's just gone. Like it's not important to me. And there's like many times people will say something to me and they're like, remember we talked about that? I was like, sorry, no. And we could have very well had a conversation about it. But if it was something that got set somewhere back in my brain because there was other things, like, I don't know. Now I'm just kind of rambling.
No, no, I think I love that you shared that because I feel like, and I'll say it here, that alcohol and drugs are a clear, there's a very clear
Hmm.
addiction and an understanding that just like sugar, we can be
Yep.
addicted, right?
Yep.
Yet the mental health side is not realizing what we get addicted to here. And what happens is the 6 inch drop from our head to our heart. And once it goes to our heart, then it
Hmm.
literally affects our entire body.
Yep.
And it creates that dis-ease within our body. And it shows up in migraines. It shows up in body ache.
Hmm.
I mean, like literally, like I've been researching the frozen shoulder for women in
Oh,
menopause. And I'm like, well, that's an easy one because we bear so much. And when we get to a
yep.
certain age, we're finally like, I need to like unravel all the things I've been carrying because
Hmm.
it's too freaking heavy.
Yep.
And so to know that your husband he's also bared such a mental load because he's responsible for so many, not just you, not just the girls, not just your household. That's enough as a man, but as a
Hmm.
business owner, all of these people he's servicing, which is his
Yep.
team and
Yep.
the clients, which is like who comes first, the clients or the team? Well, client,
Right.
team, the livelihood and that burden, if we
Hmm.
don't address it, because when it's going around here, but if it drops into our heart, we don't
Hmm.
realize. And if you, as his wife that said, whoa, whoa, hold on, you're not yourself, how long that could have gone and he could not be here because it could have settled in his body in a
Hmm.
different way. And so
Yep.
not being willing to talk about that kind of stuff, it's so easy. Like the
Yeah.
addiction to something else could be our phone, it could be whatever, distractions, it could be an obsessive behavior in an area of, stress. And then it
Hmm.
goes so much further. So that I
Yeah.
think is really important to recognize, and especially the burden that I think we carry as entrepreneurs is a whole different story. And it
Yep.
also can be such a beautiful story when we step into it and again say, all right, there's a new, better way of looking at this. And does it mean more rest? Is it hydration? Is it movement? Oh, nope, it's something more. Then there's another category of okay, what do we need to look at here and how does
Hmm.
to lay out? I think it's really important to acknowledge those things and recognize that if you haven't experienced it, yay for you. Maybe you just haven't opened that door yet
Right.
because
It's out there.
it's
And that's
100% out there.
no, and that's the thing. I talk so openly about this stuff. And people don't.
Oh
People
yeah,
don't.
it's
And
like,
and
oh, here's
it's
the rug. And now
yeah,
the rug's
yeah.
like,
Let's just keep grandma in the closet. Like nobody needs to know that she's no, like grandma, like come on, people. Like the only way that anybody's gonna get better, and it's you can see it all like we're going down a whole other rabbit hole, but we can see it with the kids and the anxiety and the because nobody wants to talk about it. Here, just go play on your phone. You'll be fine.
right.
Like,
Oh my,
no, don't doom scroll. You're gonna be worse. Like,
yeah,
hello, go
yeah.
ride your bike.
I just had
Go
that
for a walk.
conversation. I just had that conversation with Lucy. She goes, I'm not sleeping very well. And I'm like, well, let's go back a couple hours.
Yep.
It's the blue ray. It could be any caffeine that you think you need at this age, which you don't.
Right.
It's going to completely put you out of whack. Oh, a whole lot of sugar. Your body's not going to rest. So can
Yep.
we work on this together?
Yep.
And we can. And that's the difference is I call, if you want to, a ball, I call bullshit. I'm thinking we're going to do this shit alone
Mm-hmm.
because it's wrong.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely ludicrous. Whether you
Yep.
have a faith or not, when two or more are gathered together, great and wonderful things can happen.
Yep.
And the brilliance of you plus your husband, and then including someone, something, a structure. I mean, there's so many things, and that's the part of my H is the honesty. Like I'm the person, the elephant in the room, well, I like you, where I'm like, hey, why is there something under the rug?
Right. Exactly. Let's bring it out and talk about it.
Let's take care of it.
Yes.
Let's take care of what's under the
Yes.
rug because
Mm-hmm.
that to ignore it is insane. It's
Yeah.
insanity, which is doing the same thing and expecting things to change. It's like, ah!
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness. So I appreciate that. I think that was really important. Someone needed to hear that because they need to realize that they're not the only ones. And so many times I think that is the problem. That when we
Mm-hmm.
keep these things, we're like, oh, it's just me. Well, no, it's not.
Right.
It is
Right.
not you.
No, it's
And it
not
could
you.
be such a shorter journey of that door that shuts and realizing there is a window in the room when you realize
Mm-hmm.
somebody says, hey, the door shut for a reason. That's
Right.
okay. What's possible? What's new? What's different? What do you need to do for yourself? And asking
Yeah.
the question, I think is really important. So, let's see. Oh my goodness, I could be like, we could do this for hours. So, I would say, what is one piece of advice to people stepping into their power, striving for their best selves? What would be your advice?
Hmm. So interesting. Okay. Huh. This is like I think the universe is really telling me something. So I belong to a group, and last night I was on the call, and they said, "Don't run, walk, or wait, what did they say? Don't ready, aim, fire. Just aim and fire, and then come back and figure it out." So if you're moving forward with whatever your dream is, so you want to start your own business, you want to start on a fitness journey, you want to um I don't know, learn to ride a bike, whatever the case may be. Don't ready aim fire. Don't sit there and think about it and plan it and schedule it, because now you've taken that whatever your moment was where you're like, this is who I really want to be, and you've thought about it and you've planned it and you scheduled it, and you're a year down the road, 2 years down the road, but you've really not gotten any further than you were 2 years prior. And this is what the call was all about last night. And he's like, just aim and fire. Don't spend more than 24 to 48 hours trying to figure it out. I mean, unless it's something like, you're going to go build the Taj Mahal. Okay. You may need more than 48 hours. But, you know, if you want to learn to ride a bike, go buy the bike. get on it, fall a few times, maybe ask chat how to ride a bike, look on Google, maybe the seat's wrong, but just keep going. Just keep going. Come back to the middle part, the aim, and rebuild the structure, but and the process and everything as you're figuring it out. Because if you wait, you're not going to do it. And this and ironically, like we were in Hilton Head a couple weeks ago. We were just kind of tossing this around with the idea. And we've slowly starting to be doing some things. And then I got off that call last night and I looked at Matt and I said, we just need to aim and fire. We just need to go. We just need to do it because somewhere the universe put that story into my lap last night. And I said, we can't wait because if we wait until Kenzie is graduated from high school and then we wait, oh, well, we'll wait till September when we've actually moved her into college. Now we're a year down the road and we're a year further behind in our plan. I'm like, we just need to go. We own a business. We've run a business. We've actually owned 3 businesses. We know what needs to happen. Let's just go and we'll work it out as we go. But I would say to anybody, whatever your journey is, do it, but don't stop doing it. Just keep working through it as you're stumbling. Don't give up, which is the easiest thing to be like, it's too hard. I'm done. I can't. And don't give up. Just keep going. Talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a coach, talk to a mentor, whoever, talk to somebody in the industry, if it's a business, and just keep moving. Because if you don't have forward progression, you're never going to get there. You're just going to sit and dream. And then you're going to be 85 thinking about the what I could have done. And at 85, it's too late to what could you, what would you know, what could have
Well,
happened?
yeah, the what ifs are so much greater, and the difference
Mm-hmm.
then is everything is a different hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself one day saying to Lucy, "We can do hard things. Like we can do hard things." And I was like, you know what? That's BS. Because 9 times out of 10, the hard wasn't even hard. We just did it.
Right.
And we're like, I made it hard up here. Now at
Yes.
85, hard is a different thing because there's
Yes.
so many layers of differences from when we are where we are now.
Right.
And so understanding when is the best time to plant a tree?
Right.
Well, a long time ago. But the past is perfect. We can't go back. So it's plant the seed now, see where
Mm-hmm.
it grows. And again, you guys have already had all this experience. And what a blessing to bring it to a place that you love.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting. Oh my goodness. I am so excited that you would share that, and that comfort zone is so beautiful. Aim, fire. And I have heard that before. I know there's a book,
Oh,
Ready,
there
Aim,
probably
Fire.
is. I might have missed that in the call because like this is bad, but this is transparency of my life. So I was on the call, had my earbud on, phone sitting on the island. I'm trying to cook dinner. It's like 6:30, dogs barking. Kenzie's asking me questions about our college essay. Matt's sitting at the table working on a project for a customer. He's asking me questions. Madison's in and out. I'm just like, and he's like, "Why are you on your call?" I'm like, "I am on my call." So, I mean, I was catching the nuggets, but I feel like at the moments I needed to lock in, I was catching the right nuggets,
Hmm.
And then when I got off it, I was like, huh, all right, then I can hear you. Got it. Moving forward,
Well,
like,
and because you share that, someone else is going to recognize that. And maybe it's in business and maybe it's their health.
mhm,
Like how many times I'm going to get my shoes, I'm going to get my outfit, and I'm going to go walking, I'm going to go join the gym. I'm gonna. God
right,
is in a day of the week.
right. Well, let me also share this with you. So last year at this point in time, I weighed 210 pounds. I said to myself in
Hold on, hold
September,
on. I want some context here. How tall are you?
5'3".
Okay, so I know that, but somebody may not realize
Yes,
that,
yes.
when you're,
I'm 6'1". No, just
yeah, you're like, yeah.
kidding. No, I'm like short. And I weighed 210 pounds. And all of that weight came on after knee surgeries, depression from COVID, because I used to do a lot of racing. I used to do a lot of things, running, triathlons, and a whole bunch of other things. When all that ended, I had multiple knee surgeries, gained a lot of weight. And I was like, all right, well, I guess this is what it is. Last October, or not October, last August, we were up north on a family vacation in Harbor Springs for a week. I saw a picture of myself laying on the beach next to my two daughters and Mackenzie's best friend, all in cute little bikinis and whatever. And I'm laying there and I was like, no more, no freaking more. Like, and I was like, you were never like, you were not this big when you got married. You've never been this big. And so I started a journey of health and fitness and well-being and self-care. And now I've lost 50 some pounds. I know. I'm like now the size I was when Matt married me. And I look at my girls and they're like, you're looking, you little speck of dust. I'm like, you guys are my goals still. But I'm borrowing clothes from my girls. I'm like, but that doesn't, can I wear? They're like, Mom,
Yeah, you bought it.
you're not 17. Yes, but look how cute I am. And they're like, oh boy. So those things like you have to have sometimes you have to just be hit with those aha moments, right? Whether it's the fitness journey and you look at a picture of yourself and you're like, I can't. Like I knew I was heavy. I could feel it in my joints. I could feel it in my body. Like I was tired, my joints hurt. I had bad arthritis. I mean, there was all the things, right? So I knew, and I know enough to be dangerous because I have a background in biology. So I knew enough to be dangerous.
Mhm.
And I was like, I can't anymore. I can't. Do I want to be around to see my grandchildren? Absolutely. Do I want to be in the retirement age and run down the beach in a bikini and be my husband be like, can somebody cover her up, please? All the old men are looking at her. You darn right.
Hashtag goals.
So whatever it is, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to start a health journey, whatever it is, just do it. Just jump in and do it. Don't quit doing it. Just keep doing it and find the people that can help you because there's so many people, especially in this chamber that and in our group that are like, hey, let's sit down for a cup of coffee. I can help guide you on this.
Mhm.
There's so much knowledge out there. You just have to ask and somebody's going to send you in the right direction. And thank goodness for like the group, our group and the chamber and my friends and family. Cause if I start to go somewhere, I would hope to God someone's going to be like, this girl, this girl, come back
Well,
on track.
those edits are good from the people that you would trade places with, which when you
Yeah.
sit among other business owners and get that feedback from someone else is priceless. It's
Yeah,
absolute priceless. And when you get to know
for
that,
sure.
it's even greater because you know it's only for our good. It
Right.
is love. Like,
Yep.
hey, what about this? How's this? So
Yes.
I did not know that in detail. I knew you were on a health journey. I have been witnessing your transformation, yet I think people underestimate how valuable that decision is
Hmm.
because the word decide is a lot like other words and it cuts off all other options. So
Yeah.
when you truly decide to release something that is no longer, you didn't lose anything, you know where it is. You released it and said, I choose to live differently. I have the vision of this, and this down the road, and having that freedom, the flexibility, literally, freedom to wear
Hmm.
what you want to wear, the flexibility to feel the flexibility and not being like,
Right. Right.
or
Yes.
run after the grandkids. So I
Yes.
think that is going to speak to somebody too to recognize that choice. And they can always reach out to you for any suggestions and
Absolutely.
your path of how enrolled others in to support you in different ways, which is a
Hmm.
whole nother interview, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we
You
talked
and I
about
could talk for days.
yeah, the next interview is the 2.0 is after you graduate, after you open
Yes.
Hilton Head and you're able to say, here's what we did. And it's all
Hmm.
because you aimed and you fired. Is that
Yep.
right? So you
Yes.
aimed at something, which is again something I said on last Thursday morning. In the focus part, I had everybody close their eyes and then
Yes. With
open
the
their eyes and
colors.
find a
Hmm.
color. You get
Yep.
what you're looking for.
Yep.
And that's so important to realize that sometimes we have to get up off our tush to go find what we're looking for. Yet when we
Yes.
know what we're looking for, that's greater clarity and we'll get it. We're going to get
Hmm.
it. It may take
Hmm.
a minute,
Yeah.
yet that transformation on the way is exciting because there's always progress and we need to look at our progress because you're here now because you chose in. You're here now because you overcame the 2015 fire, you overcame COVID, you overcame all the little hurdles that I'm sure most people do know if they're in business. And if they don't, it's a long laundry list. And I
Yes.
believe, tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like it comes down to leadership because you're leading yourself first out of the situation to find the other leaders that will come alongside you and be able to grow.
Yes, for sure.
Is
And
there
finding the right people is hard.
right people? That,
So
yes,
hard.
yes, 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 and yes. So, is there anything else that's on your heart today that you would like to share?
I don't, nothing is coming to my mind.
I think the last was really huge. Like that was a big aha. And recognizing that place that you gave yourself an opportunity to decide and how many times you've decided in your marriage, decided in as a parent, decided in as, that place where you had to climb into a truck at 5'3", like tiny little thing. I can only imagine how close your chair
Hmm.
was.
Oh, yeah, it's like right up,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I got this.
Yep. We're
And,
gonna go.
we got this. And that's, probably why now I drive our motorhome everywhere because it doesn't phase me. And everybody's like, you drive that big thing? I'm like, yeah.
It
Doesn't
does.
everybody drive big motorhomes? Like,
Well,
this is
sometimes people have the dream to have a motorhome, but they're not willing to get in the front seat.
oh, come see me. I'll teach you.
I
It's
love it. I
so
love it.
fun.
Well, thank you for your precious time. It's
Thank
exciting
you.
to be able to see you from from the Thursday morning perspective and then learn more about what you have going on and knowing that there's always more. It's like that giant iceberg that people see. They see only the top and they have no idea what's happening
Hmm.
underneath. And so thank you for your share and hopefully this finds
Yes.
somebody in a greater, better space and then they can reach out to you for landscaping here in Michigan and Hilton Head and then also your social media and then anything like following you, I'll make sure that I have all your social links so
Okay,
that you can have
great.
more followers.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Mwah! Thank
Thank
you,
you.
my dear.
You're welcome. Thank you.